Welcome to Elderly and Health, where real stories guide smarter choices in senior wellness. When 76-year-old Eleanor began taking a new vitamin, she expected better energy, not unsteady legs and growing fatigue. But in just weeks, her strength declined, and she struggled with tasks she once handled with ease. It wasn't aging, it was something else. This story uncovers how a tiny change in her supplement routine triggered unexpected symptoms that baffled her doctors, until the surprising connection was finally revealed. Eleanor McAdams, 76, had always prided herself on staying sharp and active. Living alone in Vermont, she maintained a peaceful routine, reading in the mornings, light gardening in the afternoons, and daily walks through her neighborhood. When her friend recommended a vitamin D supplement to support her bones through the winter months, Eleanor quickly added it to her regimen. But within 2 weeks, Eleanor noticed something wasn't right. Her legs felt heavier. She grew tired climbing stairs, and her balance, once steady, began to falter. One morning, she nearly fell stepping off the curb. Concerned, she limited her walks and avoided social outings. Her daughter, Megan, visited and was alarmed at the changes. Eleanor, usually bright and confident, seemed weaker, hesitant, and unsure. They booked a doctor's appointment, thinking perhaps it was early arthritis or a nerve issue. But the doctor's first tests revealed no inflammation, no joint damage, just confusion. What no one expected was that the real issue wasn't disease, it was the dosage. Eleanor had unknowingly purchased a high-dose vitamin D supplement, believing more meant better. But as her symptoms worsened, the truth behind the bottle would soon change everything. Dr. Grace Mitchell, a leading specialist in geriatric medicine, explains, many seniors assume that over-the-counter vitamins are always safe, but that's not true. Eleanor's case is a clear example. Excessive vitamin D disrupted her calcium balance, weakening her muscles and coordination. She adds, in senior wellness, dosage precision matters. Even natural supplements can have harmful effects if misused. Always consult a healthcare provider before starting or adjusting any vitamins. Eleanor's experience is a powerful reminder of how small health decisions can lead to big consequences, especially in senior wellness. While supplements like vitamin D are often recommended for bone and immune support, their misuse can silently trigger new problems. In Eleanor's case, an innocent mistake in dosage created symptoms that mimicked more serious conditions: fatigue, loss of balance, and muscle weakness. Because she didn't initially connect her decline to a vitamin, precious time was lost. This case underscores how aging bodies process nutrients differently and why routine checkups, clear labeling, and professional guidance are vital. Throughout this piece, we'll explore what really happened inside Eleanor's body, how doctors solved the mystery, and what every senior and caregiver should know about supplement safety. At Elderly and Health, we believe real stories like this bring clarity and caution to the everyday decisions that shape long-term health. At first, the changes were so gradual that Eleanor barely noticed. She would pause halfway up the stairs, telling herself it was just a poor night's sleep. Her arms felt heavier when folding laundry. During her morning walks, the hills seemed steeper than usual. But she brushed it off. After all, she was 76, wasn't some slowdown expected? What truly alarmed her came one morning as she stepped off her porch. Her right knee buckled, and she stumbled into a nearby flower pot. Though she caught herself, the jolt of fear stayed with her. That day, she canceled lunch plans with friends, afraid she might trip in public. Within the week, her world shrank: no walks, no yoga, no errands without Megan's help. Concerned, Megan suggested visiting the doctor. Just to be safe, she said gently. Eleanor hesitated. She'd always been independent. But even simple tasks like reaching for pantry items now felt risky. Her confidence was fading, and so was her strength. When they finally sat down with Dr. Levin, Eleanor struggled to explain what felt off. "It's like, my muscles forgot how to hold me up," she said. Blood tests were ordered. X-rays came back clear. But her symptoms didn't lie, and soon, an overlooked bottle in her kitchen would hold the first clue. After Eleanor's basic tests returned normal, no arthritis, no fractures, no signs of infection, Dr. Levin looked puzzled. "It's unusual," he admitted. "You're experiencing clear physical symptoms, but we're not seeing the usual causes." Megan, unwilling to leave without answers, mentioned Eleanor's recent change in supplements. "She started vitamin D a few weeks ago," she said. "Could that be related?" Dr. Levin raised an eyebrow. "Let's take a look at the bottle." Back at home, Megan checked the kitchen cabinet. There it was, a small glass dropper bottle labeled ultra-strength vitamin D3, 10,000 IU per serving. She gasped. Eleanor had been taking one full dropper every morning, thinking it was a standard daily dose. But she had misunderstood the label. 1 drop, not 1 dropper, was the correct serving. They returned to the clinic, bottle in hand. Dr. Levin immediately ordered a comprehensive blood panel. The results were telling. Eleanor's vitamin D levels were dangerously high, and her calcium was elevated as a result. This imbalance explained the muscle weakness, fatigue, and instability. Her body was being oversaturated with nutrients it couldn't process. Eleanor stared at the bottle in disbelief. "I thought it was helping," she whispered. Dr. Levin nodded. "You had the right intention, but the wrong dose." That moment reframed everything. The problem hadn't been age or deterioration, it was a silent overdose, delivered by something marketed as natural and safe. As Eleanor's lab results confirmed the overdose, Dr. Levin explained how the body was sounding its alarm, quietly, but consistently. "When vitamin D levels rise too high," he said, "it increases calcium absorption. That calcium doesn't just help bones, it floods the bloodstream, affecting nerves, muscles, and even the heart." Eleanor had unknowingly pushed her body into a state of hypercalcemia, a condition where excess calcium causes fatigue, nausea, weakness, and confusion. In seniors, it can be mistaken for signs of aging or early dementia. That's why Eleanor's symptoms, sluggishness, muscle pain, unsteadiness, had been so easily misread. What made things worse was that she had no idea how much she was taking. The dropper bottle lacked a clear warning, and the dosage instructions were printed in small font. There were no reminders to consult a doctor before use. Dr. Levin reassured her that they had caught the issue in time. Her kidneys were still functioning well, and there was no long-term damage. However, she needed to stop the supplement immediately and undergo weekly monitoring until her levels stabilized. Eleanor was relieved, but also frustrated. "I just wanted to do something good for myself," she told Megan later that evening. Megan squeezed her hand gently. "You did, Mom. You just weren't given the right guidance." It became clear that what Eleanor needed wasn't just treatment, but education, clarity, and a new sense of caution when it came to wellness choices in later life. In the days following her diagnosis, Eleanor began her recovery, not just physically, but mentally. Dr. Levin created a gradual taper plan, guiding her off the high-dose supplement and introducing hydration therapy to help flush out excess calcium. Within a week, she felt slightly more energized. By the end of the second week, she could walk to her mailbox without needing to sit down afterward. But the most profound change was in how Eleanor viewed her own health decisions. She began writing down everything she took daily: vitamins, herbal teas, even calcium-fortified orange juice. For the first time, she saw the cumulative effect of multiple sources of nutrients. "I was duplicating things without realizing it," she admitted. Megan helped set up weekly check-ins with a local pharmacist to review any changes. They also downloaded a medication tracker app that flagged high-risk combinations or dosages. "I never thought I needed all this," Eleanor laughed one evening, "but now I wouldn't go a day without it." Beyond the personal lesson, Eleanor felt a growing sense of responsibility. She spoke up at her senior center about what happened. "Just because it's over the counter," she warned, "doesn't mean it's over the concern. Her story resonated. Several other members realized they'd also been taking supplements without fully understanding the dosage. Eleanor's quiet courage in sharing her experience sparked conversations and re-evaluations throughout the community. Her journey toward wellness had started with a mistake, but it became a source of empowerment, not only for her but for others navigating similar choices. As Eleanor continued to recover, she couldn't help but reflect on the mindset that led her here. Like many older adults, she had grown up believing that more vitamins meant more strength, more protection, more life. Ads, labels, and even conversations with friends reinforced the idea, if one pill is good, two must be better. This unspoken, more is better, culture deeply influenced her decision-making. She hadn't been reckless, just uninformed. She assumed that because vitamin D came in a small glass bottle with calming colors and words like immune support and bone health, it had to be safe. No one warned her that megadoses could quietly cause harm. Even Megan, who worked in the health insurance industry, admitted she had never really thought about supplement safety. "We always focus on prescriptions," she said. "But no one's tracking what people buy at health stores or online." Dr. Levin emphasized that the elderly are especially vulnerable to this mindset. With slower metabolism and more fragile systems, the margin for error is much smaller, he explained. It's not about fear, it's about balance. Eleanor began sharing this insight during a local wellness workshop. She held up her old vitamin D bottle and said simply, "This isn't bad. But it's not neutral either." Her message wasn't to scare, but to educate. By reshaping how she thought about healthy habits, Eleanor empowered herself and others. She learned that in senior wellness, doing less, but doing it wisely, can often mean doing more for your long-term health. One of the most startling realizations for Eleanor came when she took a closer look at the vitamin bottle. The label read doctor-formulated, all-natural, and clinically supported. Nowhere did it mention the potential risks of prolonged high dosage for older adults. The fine print gave dosing instructions, but they were vague: take 1 drop daily or as directed by your healthcare provider. "I never imagined something sold on a pharmacy shelf could be harmful," Eleanor said. But as Dr. Levin explained, supplements aren't regulated as strictly as prescription medications. In many cases, companies can market high-dose products without providing senior-specific guidance or adequate warnings. Eleanor began to research other supplements in her home: turmeric capsules, omega-3s, a multivitamin. To her shock, she discovered that her combined intake of vitamin D from all sources exceeded the upper safe limit. Even her breakfast cereal was fortified. This realization inspired her to host a small, label reading 101 session at her senior center. She brought in various bottles from her kitchen and invited others to do the same. What started as a casual conversation quickly turned into a much-needed discussion about informed decision-making. Eleanor wasn't trying to scare anyone, she was advocating for awareness. She urged her peers to ask their doctors, consult pharmacists, and most importantly, treat supplements with the same respect and scrutiny they would any medicine. By learning to read beyond the marketing and question what's behind each claim, Eleanor and her community took the first step toward safer, more intentional wellness practices. With the overdose behind her and her calcium levels back to normal, Eleanor faced the next challenge: rebuilding what had been lost. The weeks of muscle weakness had not only drained her physically but shaken her sense of independence. Climbing stairs, walking alone, even getting out of bed in the morning now carried a quiet sense of hesitation. Dr. Levin referred her to a senior-focused physical therapist named Carla. Their first session was humbling. Simple stretches left Eleanor winded. Standing on one leg for balance lasted only seconds. But Carla smiled warmly, encouraging, "This is where we start, not where we end." Each week brought small victories. Eleanor could hold a pose longer, walk farther, breathe steadier. With Megan's support, she established a morning routine that included mobility drills and strength exercises. She even began journaling her progress, writing notes like, "Walked 2 blocks today without pause," and "Held tree pose for 30 seconds." What surprised her most, though, wasn't the return of strength, but of confidence. Eleanor started attending her senior yoga class again, rejoined her weekly book club, and even organized a nature walk for neighbors in her age group. "I'm not fragile," she told them. "I just needed to know what my body was asking for." Rehabilitation wasn't just about movement, it was about mindset. Eleanor learned to listen to her body without fear, to ask questions, and to advocate for herself. Her journey from collapse to recovery wasn't linear, but it was filled with purpose. And with each step forward, she proved that healing in later life is not only possible, it's powerful. Months after her recovery began, Eleanor found herself looking at life through a new lens. Her journey with the vitamin D mistake hadn't just restored her mobility, it reshaped how she approached aging. "Before, I thought staying healthy meant doing more pills, more routines, more effort," she reflected. "Now I realize it's about doing the right things, even if that means doing less." She adopted a new rhythm centered on mindful living. She chose whole foods over fortified snacks, asked her doctor to review all her supplements regularly, and kept a written log of how her body responded to changes. For Eleanor, senior wellness wasn't about fear, it was about awareness. At the senior center, she became a quiet advocate for balance. Instead of preaching, she shared. Her story opened doors for others to voice their own concerns or confusion. One neighbor learned she had been taking iron supplements unnecessarily, another stopped mixing herbal remedies that conflicted with blood pressure meds. Even Megan took inspiration from her mother. She started attending Eleanor's weekly health chats, helping print materials and inviting a local pharmacist to answer questions. Together, they created a space where curiosity was welcome, and mistakes weren't judged, they were learned from. Eleanor's experience became more than a warning. It was a turning point for a small community of older adults who realized that wellness wasn't about perfection, it was about attention, intention, and connection. And as Eleanor stood before a group of new members one morning, she smiled and said, "The strongest thing you can do for your health isn't lifting weights. It's lifting the courage to ask what's really helping, and what might be hurting." Eleanor's seemingly minor error in supplement dosage led to significant consequences, both physically and emotionally. The excess vitamin D caused a dangerous rise in her calcium levels, weakening her muscles and compromising her mobility. What began as mild fatigue escalated into a loss of independence, missed social activities, and a growing fear of falling. Beyond the physical toll, Eleanor struggled with guilt and frustration. How could something meant to help nearly harm her? She also realized how easily misinformation, unclear labeling, and cultural assumptions about "more is better" can lead to real health risks in older adults. It took weeks of recovery and lifestyle changes to regain what had been lost. Her case underscores that, for seniors, even well-intentioned health decisions can carry unintended consequences when not carefully guided by professionals. The true cost wasn't just bruises or imbalance, it was trust shaken, confidence eroded, and time lost to a preventable mistake. Dr. Grace Mitchell, a geriatric care specialist, emphasizes that supplement mistakes among older adults are more common, and more dangerous, than many realize. As we age, our bodies metabolize nutrients differently. What's safe at 40 can become harmful at 70, she explains. In Eleanor's case, high-dose vitamin D led to hypercalcemia, a condition that impaired muscle function and balance, mimicking more serious illnesses. Dr. Mitchell strongly advises that all seniors consult a healthcare provider before starting or changing any vitamin or supplement routine, even with over-the-counter products. The label may say natural or doctor-formulated, but that doesn't guarantee safety for everyone, especially seniors with other medications or health conditions. She also recommends routine blood work to monitor vitamin and mineral levels, particularly if multiple supplements or fortified foods are involved. Senior wellness doesn't come from quantity, it comes from clarity, she says. It's not about taking more, it's about knowing what your body truly needs, and adjusting with medical supervision. Her message is clear: informed, cautious decisions about supplements are not just advisable, they're essential for preserving strength, independence, and long-term quality of life. If you or a loved one are taking daily supplements, take a moment today to review them carefully. Talk to your doctor, pharmacist, or a qualified healthcare provider to ensure your choices support, not sabotage, your health. At Elderly and Health, we believe that smarter decisions begin with real stories. Share this video with someone who may benefit, and subscribe for more insights on safe, balanced senior wellness. Your awareness could prevent a silent mistake, and preserve someone's strength, confidence, and independence. Let's age wisely, together.